Hello everyone, this is Sophia's Cakery with a Christmas cookie tutorial. The items you'll need are my cookie kit, which includes cookies, icing, and sprinkles. Some other items you'll need are paper plates, toothpicks, scissors, and napkins. Here I'm showing you the icing bag seam that needs to be flattened out and cut. The black icing is used for detail work, so you'll need to actually make the smallest hole possible for the black icing, making sure you flattened out the seam as you see me squeezing it in between my fingers before picking up and cutting off the smallest piece of the icing bag. Now the other colors, you can make a bit bigger hole than the black, but it's always good to start off with a small hole and gradually make it bigger. Here I'm showing you on a regular piece of paper, you're going to start piping out some lines just to give you the proper flow. First piping bag that you'll do is the red one. We're going to do Santa's hat. You're going to always wipe off the piping bag with the napkin to take off any excess icing on the tip, and you don't want that on your cookie. So when we start the Santa's hat, we start at the bottom of the white ball and you outline it all the way around. And then across the hat. Now the line doesn't matter so much on the bottom of the Santa hat. We're going to have that covered up with the white furry band that goes across, so don't worry too much about that. Now getting the top of the hat, you're wanting to fill the outline. If you don't have a steady hand, you might want to do what I'm doing, is hold onto your hand while you're pushing gently on that piping bag. You want to hold it with another hand or finger like I'm doing. You'll see that throughout the video. You're going to continuously just fill back and forth, and you'll give your hand a rest at some point because your hand will cramp up. Everything is outline, fill, and I will indicate where to start and how you need to do that. But the filling is always the same. I start from the top. You just need to continue on from there because the icing stays wet as you go, and it will blend better and you won't have any dents in your icing. You don't want to pick up your cookie or move your cookie. Use your toothpick if you see air bubbles or indents, or if you see the icing is going to fall over to the side, you want to drag the toothpick to push the icing towards the middle. Now I would call it a beige skin tone icing, and you want to also wipe it off to not have any dried icing on your cookie. Remember, the bottom half is going to be covered also with his mustache. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to have somewhere where he can put his cute eyes and his nose on. Now we're going to do Rudolph. You're wanting to use the same skin tone color that you used for Santa. You're going to drizzle a little bit on his ears. And this one is not piping the edges and then filling. It's just a little bit of icing that's going to give you color underneath his ears. So what you're going to do is you're going to use a toothpick, which I will honestly tell you that is probably the hardest thing you can do, is use the toothpick. You're wanting to smudge the icing just to give it color because you don't want an actual height on that icing. If you're going to eat this cookie, my advice would be for you to use your finger and just smudge the icing on with your finger if you have clean hands. I used a toothpick, and you can work it back and forth until you get the color on there, but not so thick. You're going to do both sides, and it doesn't really matter because remember, we're layering the icing, so you're not going to see the bottom mess of what you just created with your finger or a toothpick. All you want to do is even it out. If you do the entire ear, it's fine as long as you don't get too close to the edge of the ear. Everything else is going to be covered with other colors of icing. Now you're going to pick up the light brown icing bag, and you're going to clean off the tip to make sure there's no dried icing on it. You're going to twist the bag to give enough tension so that you don't have to squeeze too hard for the icing to come out. And you're going to start off at one ear, and you're going to go straight across to the beginning of the other ear. That's how simple that is. And then you're going to go on the other side. And you're going to start at the bottom of like where his cheeks are at and just drag it all the way around the edge. And this is your outline. And you're going to go all the way around to the other ear, at the bottom of the other ear. And now you're going to have to outline the ears. And you want to kind of give them a small point at the ears as much as you can. Mine are a little more round than pointy, but I'll use the toothpick later on to bring out that point, and you can do the same thing. Once you have your ears, the outline, completely done, you don't want to start filling with the ears. You want to start at the bottom of the face to give enough time for the ears to dry. Now that your Rudolph's face is completely filled, you're going to get the same color, light brown, and you're going to make a line, I'm going to say a quarter of the way down on your ear, and it's going to be slight round from the tip of the ear to the back. It's kind of roundish, and you're going to go ahead and fill that upper half that you just made your outline. And you'll fill that in. And that will give you the appearance of where the ear kind of flaps down. And you want the entire light brown to actually blend in with each other. And again, you'll pick up your toothpick if you need to. Take out any bubbles or adjust anything, or bring out the tip of the ears like I said before. And you just tap or circles. The smaller areas, it's easier just to tap. Circles would probably, you'd lose your the definition of the lines. I like to use the paper plates so you can rotate the plates and not actually touch the cookies. Picking up the cookies actually will make the icing flow and flow off the cookie. It's happened to me. So you want to keep your cookie on the plate. So here I'm picking up the white icing for Santa. And what you're going to do is clean off the tip again. Make sure it's clean. We're going to start with the ball on the hat. You're going to outline the ball. Do the outline first and then fill the ball in. Once you have that done, you will outline his beard. You can start anywhere. It's always good to outline where the flesh tone is at in the red. The bottom of Santa's beard has a couple of indents. You want to just go ahead and either follow the cookie or create as many of those indents that you would like. I added one extra. It's up to you if you want to design that however you like. From there, you're going to fill Santa's beard and continue until you're completely done with the beard. Now we are going to get your sparkling sugar, like crystals, and you're going to put that on Santa's hat, the little ball. I only did that. It's up to you if you want to do the band. I thought it looked better with just the ball. Once you sprinkle it on there very gently, you can use the toothpick to move it around. Remember that the red icing on the hat is still wet. It's just crusted over. It's not completely dry. So be very careful when doing that. I would use a toothpick to move anything around if you need to. And trying to stay away from the red. If the crystal sugar lands on his red hat, I would leave it. You can probably dust it off once it's completely dried. Now you're going to pick up the dark brown piping bag and you're going to outline Rudolph's antlers, and they're very small, so you just have to outline them and fill them. And you can use a toothpick to adjust them if you need to, or if you have air bubbles. We're going to start the Christmas tree now. We're picking up the green icing bag. Clean off your icing bag to make sure the tip is cleaned off. And you're going to outline. Now I know you see 2 indents on the Christmas tree. And we're going to make it into 3 separate parts. I'm right here doing the top part. I did a kind of wavy line. I did accidentally start on the second one, and then I realized I was doing that, which was not a big deal. I just started on the bottom one. And I repeated the wavy lines on the bottom, and then you're going to have to also repeat the wavy lines on the top one for the last one, so that the middle of the tree will have the wavy lines also on the bottom. And then you're going to go ahead and go back and fill. I'm going to pick up a toothpick and clean up my mistake, which we all make. It's not that big of a deal. It's a cookie. You're going to go ahead and fill the green of your outlines until you get it all completely filled up. And you want to take your time. At this point, your hand might be a little cramping. Yeah. And that's why you want to use your second hand to steady yourself. I also use the table to rest my arms on, so I can guide my hand easily. It's up to you how you want to do it. Once you have those filled, you do not want to have the middle section filled. We want the indication, the indent, the 3 separate sections for this tree. That's what makes it look unique. So you're going to fill the bottom. And once you fill that bottom, you're going to use your toothpick to take out any bubbles or fix anything that you need to fix. Move icing around. If it looks like it's going to fall over, you can use it to drag it towards the middle of the icing, and that will help for it not to fall. Once you do that, this is where you're going to take a 15-minute break, because at this point all the icing is almost all wet. Putting any icing on top of wet icing will just make it all bleed into each other. So you really do need it to like crust over. A 15-minute break, just get something to drink, whatever you like. Just pause it for 15 minutes. Now we're back on the Christmas tree cookie. And now that it's been 15 minutes, it has crusted over enough to where when you put that outline down, as you're looking on the video, it will separate itself. They will not blend into each other. And you'll be able to outline the middle section and fill it without it actually blending into each other. So after you outline it, you're going to go ahead and just fill the middle section right away. No need to wait there. And then once you fill that, you go ahead and you can utilize your toothpick to move the icing around, take out air bubbles, whatever you like. So now that you've filled your entire Christmas tree cookie, it is important to put in your sprinkles now. The icing is wet enough for you to actually put in the sprinkles. The bottom half and the upper top portion of it will be a little drier, so you might get a little bit of cracked icing, but if that's only if you push too hard. If you push lightly, it should not happen. 15 minutes is not enough time for it to completely crust over. And I arranged them with the idea of less is more. So you can arrange them however you like. I've put extras in there for everyone, so that way you guys can decide how many you guys are going to actually put on your Christmas tree. And that is all up to you. And you put the sprinkles as lights going across the Christmas tree. And then from this point on, you're going to move on. You don't want to do the black outline on the tree. You don't have to do it. It's up to you. I personally like it. It's up to you if you would like to do that. But you would need the Christmas tree to dry. So you need to not do that just yet. Okay, now we're going to go back to Santa. Now, Santa's had some time to dry, so we're going to start layering what I talked about, the brim of his hat where it's the fuzzy white stuff. At first I did like a wavy line on top and bottom. And I brought it down past the skin tone color So that way we can hide where the skin tone and the red meets, even the white. And you're gonna layer that and you're gonna fill that in. Soon enough you'll see me actually remove some of the waves. Some of it stays, but not much. I think that was too much of a wave for Santa's hat, so it's up to you how you would like to do it. It's easy to get rid of. All you have to do is just push more icing in the where it dips down. You'll see me do that right now. I didn't care for the wave on the top of the hat. It didn't look right to me. So right about here is where I'm done. I actually look at it. Now if you like this look, by all means go right ahead and do it. Now you'll see that I go right where the wave comes down and I just push icing on it and it takes away some of the wave. You can do that also. It's all up to you. Now you'll see me indicate the center of the hat and I pull it down to about a little bit past halfways of his face and I put a little white dot on there. That's going to show me where I want his nose. So that's going to let me know that under the nose is where I'm going to put his mustache. So I'm going to start from there and then I'm going to make a mustache shape right underneath that dot. And I want to make sure I cover where the beard and the skin tone actually meet. And once I do my outline, remember the outlines aren't, they are forgivable. So if you don't like how it looks, like I do come back and I enlarge a certain area. Like I make the tip a little bit sharper and then I make it a little wider. You could do it and then you can come back to it and fix it. So once you outline again, you'll do the other side. There I go, fixing the bottom. I'm actually making it a little more rounder. And then you can do the other side and try to match it right underneath the indicator for the nose. And we'll cover up the white dot with his nose, obviously. And you try to get that same symmetry on both sides for the mustache. And then fill. Here I go filling that same side. I didn't feel like it was thick enough, so I went back on the bottom portion and filled in a little more, another line on both sides, just to give it a little fullness. And then of course fixing the tip of it. You can do that until you feel you're happy with it. Once you're done with the mustache, you're going to do the eyes. So I would say in between where the curve of the mustache goes up a little ways higher, maybe a little bit higher, like right in the middle of what's left over of the skin tone. If you're going to do his eyes closed, that's what you would do. You would do the middle, and you would just do like an eyelash kind of curve of the top of the eye on both sides. And again, I measure by what I have. So if I did the top of the hump of the mustache, I'll do that to the other side. So that way it looks like if it's close enough centered. Because the nose will come in right in on the bottom of the two eyes. And then I'm picking up the dark brown icing and we're going to fill in the bottom of the Christmas tree trunk. And that's as easy as just outlining and filling. Making sure that if you do need to use a toothpick to adjust or move or take out air bubbles, you can do that with a toothpick. You'll see me here pick up the black icing again. By this time the Christmas tree should be enough crusted over that you can actually put the black line through the Christmas tree. And I do a couple of loops. They're a bit hard. The bottom one actually didn't come out as well as the two on the top. I would say to make if you are going to try the loops, you see how it's kind of closing in on each other because the icing will spread, so it closes that loop. The bigger the loop, the more space you'll have in between that loop and it'll look more defined. So you'll see this one is much bigger, the top one. And that's because of the icing spreading. I don't want it to actually close and just be a solid line, so that's why you actually make a bigger loop. And you'll do that to all three sections in any way, shape, however you like. And then you'll be done with your Christmas tree. And how cute does that look? Here I'm picking up the red icing. I'm going to go straight from the top in the center of the two horns. I'm going to go straight down to the bottom, more than half. I draw a little line, and then I'm going to go almost like a cross. So I know the height of my nose and the width of my nose, and then I'll outline it. And then from there I can tell you, and it's always better to go smaller than bigger. That way, if you do want the nose to be bigger, you just keep on filling in the nose. Right there, I was done. And I looked at it, and it was a little lopsided. And on top of that, it was a bit small. I wanted his nose to be big, Rudolph the red nose. And so I wanted to have more curve at the bottom. So I just put more icing in and adjusted and made sure I brought it out to thin out on the edges like I did. And that's all up to you. And you just keep on filling until you're happy. Remember, it will get bigger. So a little bit smaller than what you would like, and then it will spread. And you can give it a minute or two to allow it to spread to see how it looks. And if you feel like you need more, then you can. You don't want to give it too long because we're going to actually put the highlight in the nose on one side. And all that is the white icing bag. And you're going to just gently drop a little pinpoint of icing and drag it across the side. And that's going to blend completely with the red. And you're not going to want to use a toothpick at this point because you'll actually blend it in. And you want that highlight to be there. And then once that's done, you're going to pick up the black icing. I use the inner part of the horns of the Rudolph, and I will use that as the inner part of his eyes to kind of get his eyes looking like if they were centered. And so then you're going to go ahead and make his circles of his eyes, because remember, icing flows, so it will grow. I know that I didn't look perfect, but you can adjust that, and you can just fill them in. And once you get them to the size that you want, remember that the red icing is still wet and the black icing that you're putting on is wet, so they're both going to be flowing. Now if you look, the eye that I'm working on, one of the eyes flows into the nose slightly, and I will try to fix that later. But the other eye, I didn't make it so big so it didn't flow into the nose. You want to try to not get the icings to actually touch and give them a little space so that they can spread. Once you're done with the eyes, you're going to clean off your piping bag, because you're going to do very super thin lines for his eyebrows, and you can make just little tiny lines like that. I actually liked the first one, but then the second one came out a little longer and I didn't want him to have mismatched eyebrows, so I added more to the first one. And yes, that one did, the icing will pull like that and messed up, and so you just wipe it off and fix it as best as you can, because again, these are cookies, and you'll just go ahead and fix the other one to match. And that's about the only thing you can do. I'm going to say one thing about black. It's very hard to take off, so once you put black down, most likely you're not going to actually remove the black. It will leave some kind of a mark. Now I picked up the darker brown icing, and I'm just putting little tiny hairs inside his ear to give him a little more character. That's up to you if you'd like to do that. Here I go trying to clean the eye up, and I'm just, I didn't think I was going to separate them. I'm just trying to help it not actually bleed right into each other. So then here are the ear hairs, I would call them. And you can just see that the other two kind of already melded together and made one. You get a toothpick and you just slide that toothpick right through those two, and you'll get defined the two hairs again. Now we're going to go ahead and start on Santa's eyebrows. We're going to fill those eyebrows, and it's just basically a line, a thick line that goes across on top of his eyes. You follow his eye line and just create the eyebrows. And you can fill them as big as you like or small as you like. It's up to you. Once the eyebrows are done, we're going to get the skin tone to make his nose. And where we actually indicated with the white icing for just a marker, we're going to start right there, and we're just going to, I just went right over it and made Santa's nose as big as I liked. Remember, the icing does spread, so you want to give yourself room to not actually touch the eyes. So you'll see me work on the lower half and make the lower half of his nose a little more rounder and bigger than the upper half, because the eyes are right there. So, and here you go. We're gonna actually start with the green icing to make holly leaves. This is a little more detailed. It's up to you if you want to do it. It's a basic holly leaf. It's not anything grand. And you just make the little designs. And then in the kit, you should have a part of your sprinkles. You should have some red berry sprinkles, and you can use as many or one if you like. I used one on each, my Santa and my reindeer. And once I got the holly leaves on, then I put in this red berry sprinkle on the wet icing. And now I picked up the white icing bag, and I'm going to put highlights in Rudolph's eyes, just like we did his nose. These will not actually blend so much with his eyes, because his eyes should be slightly crusted over. And then I will pick up the black icing and give Rudolph a smile. This is all up to you how you want to make his smile, and this is where you can be creative. And they are all done. Aren't they adorable? I hope you all enjoyed this video and the tutorial, and I hope you all enjoy the Christmas cookies. Merry Christmas. Bye now.